seatbelt sign is turned off. Smoking is only permitted in designated smoking areas. You may not connect your mobile device to the network. If you have any questions about...
Welcome to the Body Bag Podcast. I'm your host, Broke Rider Dave. With me always, Chris Thomas.
Bonjour.
And to kick off season 5, we decided we are going to have a guest all the way from Paris with us.
We have already gone through the UK. We've marked off Ireland, Britain, Scotland. Now we need to move a little bit more to the other European nations.
Yeah. So we have TikToker Minnie K with us. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you guys for calling me. I was so surprised when I got the message. I was like, oh my God, a podcast about horror? Because I love horror movies. So it was perfect.
I know, it's great. And, and I think you're our first TikToker on our show, too.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are so sweet.
So we're trying to branch out as well.
Yeah. Broaden our horizons a little bit here.
And when Dave told me who we were going to have on the podcast, and I looked at some of your videos, I was like, no, it's very difficult to watch somebody else living your dream.
Oh.
I've always wanted to go to Paris.
Yeah, well, funnily, and I've discussed this with a number of people, my TikToks kind of show like the reality of living in Paris, because that's a lot of the reason that I started making content, because every time I looked at content, I've been in Paris for 6 years, right? So every time I look at content about Paris, it's very glamorous. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't live like that. So I was like, of course, I'm grateful, but it's just a different take on how, I guess, normal people in Paris live and what it's like. So it's still nice though, and it's still fun.
You still managed to make like baguettes, even though they were like 2 days old. I think the video I watched, you still managed to make it look delicious.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
I mean, me, just being the uncultured American that I am, the only thing I really know too much about France is you got the Eiffel Tower and just stories that my high school French teacher told us about.
Oh, where are you guys from? Maybe I should have asked this before, but where are you guys from?
Oh, that's fine. I'm from Virginia on the East Coast.
I'm from Indiana, like the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
So he's more open field and I'm more beach.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I've never been either, but yeah.
So, Dave, I believe you said that you had some questions lined up. Oh, speaking of which, what time is it over that way? What's the time difference?
So, I'm 6 hours ahead of Dave.
Okay.
Well, 6 hours ahead of Chris. I just use everything on Eastern time. Yeah, I'm an hour behind Chris, so it's 10 a.m. here.
Okay, so it's 5 p.m. here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't like super late at night or...
No, not at all. Not at all. And honestly, it doesn't matter, even because in the summer the sun sets at like almost 11 now. So even if it was like 8, 9, I wouldn't mind.
Dave, why don't you go ahead and take the reins?
So you said you moved to Paris like 6 years ago. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what was that process like moving from India to Paris?
Oh my God, that's it's a lot. But to give you the short form, I actually started the process of wanting to move in 2015, and I ended up here in 2017. So I think it took about 2 years of planning, because there's the September intake with colleges. I came here to study initially, and if you miss that intake, you have to wait another year. And I even though I was planning and I had all my documents in 2016, I still didn't feel ready because I was 23. And, in India, we live with our parents, and I was still living with my parents at the time. So I was like, I think I might wait another year until I apply. So it took about 2 years of preparation, I think, mentally, as well as, getting your documents and stuff. And the thing is, I'm not sure what it's like coming from somewhere else, but because I came from India, we had to get a lot of documents in order for like immigrating over to France, and initially came to study my master's. So I did it in international marketing and product management. And thankfully, the first university I applied to, I got in, and it was my first choice. So yeah, it's not like there are a lot of bigger universities, but the one that I went to was affordable. It was the French university, and that's what I wanted. So yeah, so that's how I came.
That kind of actually leads into something I was going to ask. I know one person who's traveled to France and back. And now I don't know how much of this is true or if it's just an old stereotype, but I've heard that French don't really like Americans. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but did you get any of that from being from India? I don't know if
No, I get what you're saying, and that kind of plays into one of my videos that I'll just talk about. But I've been here a while, and I was getting the consensus that the French people don't like anyone, really. It's not.
So there's a little truth to that.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily Americans. I think they start to like you when you're a lot more integrated with society, with French society, French culture, the language. That's when you kind of become more likable to them. And initially it was a lot more difficult for me because I didn't learn that much French before I moved here, and I had a lot of French classes after I came. So initially it was difficult, but I think now a couple of years in, like, it takes some time for them to like warm up towards you. But in saying that, I don't know if you guys saw, but I had a video that got a decent chunk of views. It got about 500,000 views, where I'm talking about I work this is just part-time. It's like a part-time seasonal job as a greeter for a tour company. And I met with a bunch of Americans, and one was from Michigan and one was from Wisconsin.
Yeah, I saw those two videos.
Yeah,
and they were just absolutely lovely women that talked to me, and we had all about 15 minutes with each other at both times. And they were so nice, and they were asking me about my day and like what I was doing in my college, and they were telling me about their sons. And I think a lot of the reason that video, I honestly didn't think that would happen. I know everyone says that, but I just, I was walking back home, and I just, I recounted an experience that was nice. And I think that's why it got the response that it got, is because people just assume that people, even though I'm not European, the fact that I live in Europe, that I don't like Americans, which couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
Well, I think people I think there needs to be more content like that out there, because I think that's why because TikTok is just flooded with bad news and people being ugly to each other. That I think people need a little break from that and seeing cultures just mingle and get along.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I only realized that with that video because I had no strategy in making that video, right? Like some videos do have a bit of strategy behind it, but I was just so genuinely pleased at the interactions. But also, some of my best friends here are Americans. Like there's one person who's from Chicago and one person's from New York, and so
it's becoming the new melting pot.
Yeah.
Listen, I never had any, perceptions about you guys, bad perceptions about you guys. And I only found out that people on the internet kind of didn't talk nicely about Americans.
Which,
after that.
Living in America, I understand.
Yeah.
Right. I guess so, but I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, yeah, we hear that. I think here in America, we hear that a lot. Like, if you go to any comment section, it's just people shaking their heads like, man, I'm glad I don't live in America.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I understand.
I'm just saying I get it.
Yeah.
I can understand the...
Yeah, there's some bad spots, but there's also a lot of beautiful spots here, so...
I agree. Yeah. I think there's pros and cons. Like, a lot of people ask me, do you prefer India or do you prefer France? And now that I've been here for, a while, I can't say which one I prefer, because I think there's just pros and cons to any city, any country, So I think America is just like that too. Yeah,
it's just everywhere. Just unfortunately, the negative things tend to get highlighted more than the good.
Yeah. So what were some of your initial struggles when you first got to Paris? Because I could imagine moving abroad is something that could be a mental challenge in itself.
I could tag on a question to that, what would you
Yeah.
say was probably your biggest, like, maybe culture shock type thing? Like,
Yeah.
what was, like, oh, they do the things really different here.
I have the same answer actually to both questions because I'm from India, right? I mean, I've got to
Yeah.
stop saying this. I mean, I think everyone knows I'm from India.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's good. Yeah.
You know, our sense of community is very, very strong in India, and it even extends to foreigners. I remember when we had exchange students from Germany in college, and I think they were like a group of students, and you know, we all got along so well with them. We're still friends. I was in college about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
A little less, but you know, I kind of thought that would be my experience moving here too, because everyone's in college, you know, you're going through the same thing, you have classes, you have professors that you don't like.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that people would be a little more bonded over the fact that you're doing this difficult thing together, and it's a master's, so it's a little more demanding, you know, you have lesser time.
Yeah.
It's like people who have who go to war together.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought that I would make friends more easily, but I mean, my first 2.5 years, I actually didn't have any friends. I had 2 friends, but they didn't live very close to me. So, I mean, maybe we would meet before exams to study together. I'm grateful for them. I'm still friends with them. But the experience that I thought that I would have compared to what I did have was the main struggle and the culture shock, and also mentally exhausting for a very long time.
Yeah. Just not having that sense of community that you thought you would have.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I felt that when the only time I've ever traveled abroad was when I went to the Philippines. That's where my family is from, on my mother's side, and they are very much community oriented over there too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it was coming back over here to America. It was, you know, my cousins, they basically let us have the run of their house. They went somewhere else and said, "No, stay here." So that was a cool thing to see from the opposite end, coming to a more community oriented culture.
Mm-hmm.
See, I had like the opposite. Like I grew up in Indiana, small town. So in a small town, it's very much very community. We all help each other and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved to Milwaukee, and that's a place where you don't even talk to your neighbors.
No keeping
Yeah.
the doors unlocked at night.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was like a culture shock for me when I first did that, because I went from Indiana and I was in the Marine Corps, which is basically you're with the same people 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Then went to Milwaukee, and yeah, I realized living in a big city isn't for me.
Oh, yeah. It's a big city is a lot. I moved, you know, I moved from Bombay to Paris, and people are like, "Oh, you moved from India to Paris, and like, you know, do you feel lost?" And I'm like, "Do you know how big Bombay is? Like, it's huge. Like Paris for me is small. Like India is crazy with its
not
city.
a small town."
Yeah.
No, but people just assume because it's India. They're like, "Oh, do you feel like lost in Paris?" I'm like, "No, it's easier to navigate."
Yeah.
And were you, after those 2 years or within those 2 years, were you pleasantly surprised at anything at France?
I was, you know, so I graduated into COVID. That's a lot of the reason that I'm still here is I just kind of ended up stuck here, and then I ended up working here, and I was like, okay, I mean, and then I met my boyfriend here, and now I have friends. So I was like, okay, it's not so bad. But living in France during COVID, I realized French people are, you know, they're not, I think I came in with a lot of presumptions, especially after I was here for a little bit. But there's a lot of work-life balance that they put significance on over here. And I think this is a country that I like to work in compared to at least back home. So I was pleasantly surprised how France dealt with the COVID situation, how a lot of people that I know I was unemployed back then because I was literally like a fresh graduate, not even a couple of weeks. So like visas got extended, people got unemployment. It was not, you didn't have to fight for it. The way that companies treated their employees, at least the way that I saw it with my friends, everyone was more or less taken care of with like minimum wage, at least, rents were being paid, rents were being extended, stuff like that. So I liked the way that everyone, and a lot of my friends are expats, so that's where I get most of my information from. So I was, that kind of pushed me towards, okay, maybe this is not a bad country, because if COVID hadn't happened, I would have left.
Yeah, we're still arguing about it over here.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah, it's weird. It's so weird.
But things are like kind of back to normal right now, and people are still like just pointing fingers at each other.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's a lot better in France, and ever since COVID, there's a lot of companies that are just doing, hybrid work. So, and I prefer working remote as much as I can because I'm doing content at the same time. So the more access that I have to my phone and just being able to create content is better for me. So I thought, okay, but also the people, they do warm up to you after you've been here a couple of years and you kind of get like the nuances of French culture. That definitely.
So what is your like absolute favorite thing about Paris?
Other than the response to COVID.
Yeah.
Absolute favorite thing about Paris? Honestly, it's the bread.
Yeah, there's a number of baguette videos.
Yeah.
It's the bread. I adore the baguettes and the pain chocolat, like the chocolate bread and the croissant, and like that is something that I would miss if I moved from France. Genuinely, they make really, really good bread.
That is one thing that my high school teacher that I will, even like 15 years or 14, 15 years later, I still remember him talking about how great the bread is. How do they hollow out the middle of it sometimes and fill the baguette with...
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. You have all sorts of things. Actually, my palate has changed so much also in the last few years because I was just used to a certain type of food. And now, I've been introduced to like almond paste in croissant and all sorts of stuff. It's interesting. It's fun. I don't have too much of a sweet tooth, but the French don't do sweet desserts. They're just very easy to eat,
Yeah.
They don't load on the sugar like...
No, not at all. Not at all. So I was actually pleasantly surprised that I would fall in love with the food because I love Indian food.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really tried anything like French type of food that I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Other than like the Americanized version, like...
Right. I feel like I'm wondering what kind of French food I eat, but if I go out, it's more like I eat like roast chicken with like salad or something, which kind of tastes the same everywhere. But I think French food would be like escargot, that's like snails, or gratin, that's potatoes. And they're like really silky, smooth potatoes with like cream and butter and stuff like that. So French food is, I think it's like creamy, buttery, stuff like that. Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, I can't think of anything else really.
Okay.
Is there a destination now that you've been there for a number of years? Is there a new destination that you've always wanted to go visit?
Yeah, there is. The thing is, I have two. There's one that I've already visited that I kind of want to go check out again, and that's LA. I've visited with my family before, but now I have friends there. So I want to go and visit them when I can. But another place is that I've never been that I want to go to is Greece.
Greece is the one place, I'd love to go.
Yeah.
As somebody who did a lot of reading on Greek and like ancient Rome culture stuff, I would love to go see the old architecture over there.
Yeah, that's being a big fan of history. I'd love, check that all out. Yeah,
that is definitely on my list. Honestly, I have a huge list, but
those make the top.
Yeah, they make the top because I want to go to like Santorini and Mykonos, and You see all of those pictures on Instagram with all of the blue and white and
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm just like, what does that look like? I want to see it in person.
Seems like it'd be amazing over there, and plus Greek food is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the whole Mediterranean type food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Greek. That's they have the heroes, right, or gyros, if you say.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're very popular here.
Yeah. Growing up, I had friends that family was from Greek, so I'd always eat dinner at their house and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Just drop by unannounced. Hey, we cooking tonight?
Yeah, exactly.
Lucky you.
Right.
My friend got back. He's a part Greek, and he got back oregano from Greece.
Yeah.
And it's just something so random, but it's literally the best oregano I've had in my life. I'm just like, why
is it so much better?
I know.
Well, we all have like the same ingredients, but somehow it's just different.
Exactly. So
Back to creating content. Is there like one video that stands out to you that was like your favorite to make?
oh my God. I have a couple. I'm just gonna open my TikTok.
Yeah, go ahead.
I
make so many videos. Oh, honestly, recently it's a video that didn't get a lot of it got 600 views, but I don't know if you guys saw it, but it's a trend where I'm just running with like a skirt to that song Ceilings by Lizzie McAlpine.
Okay, yeah. I think I saw that one, yeah.
Where we were saying it's a nice sunny day out.
Exactly. So that video is actually I had so much fun making it because a friend of mine was standing in front of me and running backwards, and she almost fell. I don't even know how many times, poor girl. And like I was running, and I could like barely hear the music, and all of this is like behind the scenes that you don't see. I wish I had like somebody recording that whole thing, but
you need
like,
to post a blooper reel.
Yeah.
But that was so fun because like there were like people running out of the way and like people making sure like that they didn't get in her way because they saw like she was backwards. I was like running full force towards her, and and it was in front of the Eiffel Tower. You don't see it, but the Eiffel Tower is on my right, and there's just so many people there. So many people were watching and laughing, and they weren't laughing at me. It was just like joyful, like and I'm someone that used to be very, very, very shy, and especially in France, like I would have never thought to do something like that or had like the guts to do something like that. And I feel very proud of myself that I wanted to do it. My friend was like, let's do it, and we took 3 takes, so it was fine. But I think that's going to be like close to my heart because of how it was funny, and growth associated with that, with me and making content and stuff like that. So
you had a friend who was committed to her role no matter how many times you fell.
Oh my God, like God bless her, seriously. But other than that, I think I like vlogging. I like shooting snippets of my day and putting a voiceover on it. I find that fun.
Seems like a very pleasant way to like kind of start your day, just with a little bit of positivity. I looked at the videos like this morning before hopping on. I was like, that's very nice.
Oh, thank you. I try to keep it positive, but at the same time, I like talking about the fact that I'm from the East, I live in the West, and there are some cultural clashes that do happen. So I try to balance it out as well as I can.
Keep it real.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So my last question, this being a movie podcast, who makes better movies, India or France?
Oh man, don't do that to her.
Oh no, India.
India, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm like a Bollywood stan. Like I love the thing is like if you're Indian, I don't think that you could not like Bollywood. Like the way that you grow up with it, it's so integrated in your life.
There's so much energy.
There's no escaping it. So I have watched French cinema. I'm not someone that actually likes indie movies very much, and I tell people that Bollywood ruined it for me because it's just Bollywood is just so entertaining. Almost every minute of the movie is entertainment. And they
Yeah.
do it.
Personal recommendations for any of the listeners out there?
Yeah.
I do. I have, and I even made a video about this, but this is a very nice movie. It's called Queen, and I don't want to, say too much about it, but it's about a woman in India. Something happens, and she ends up going to visiting France and Amsterdam, and it's a very cute take on an Indian who's never really traveled, who goes abroad, and I totally related to that. It's a very nice movie.
Yeah.
It did very, very well in India as well. So
That'll be my
Okay.
homework.
Yeah.
Yes. It's called
Yeah.
Queen.
Queen.
So.
All right. Yeah.
I'll post that on Insta as one of my next little movie review snippets.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I look forward to it.
Well, that actually kind of is a great segue
Mhm.
to the movie of this particular episode. I thought it was hilarious seeing these nice, uplifting, fun videos. Now let's talk about one of the goriest franchises of all time.
Yes. Evil Dead Rise.
Oh my God. I stumbled. I've not even seen the other movies, I've just seen this one.
Well, that kind of
Oh, wow.
answers the first question I was going to say. All right, well, that's actually good because we can get your opinion of it as a standalone movie.
Yeah.
But this is, I'd say for the first maybe 10, 15 minutes, let's keep it a
Yeah.
little spoiler-free, and then we'll
Yeah.
get into a little bit more specifics. Near the
Okay.
end.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I was asking Dave earlier, you'd seen the 2013 one.
Yeah. The 2000. Yeah.
The 2013
Remake.
remake. This was the most recent one after that, not including the series with Bruce Campbell, but
Yeah. Ash versus the Evil Dead's probably the only thing I haven't seen from the franchise.
and we are officially out of a cabin in the woods now and in a apartment complex now.
Yeah.
You said that you haven't seen any of the other movies. Is that correct? You said.
Yeah.
Well, what did you guys think of the apartment as the setting now? Because we're no longer in a cabin in the woods. We're in an apartment complex filled with other people now.
So I personally related to that more because I don't do cabin in the woods kind of settings.
Yeah.
I don't go camping. I don't think I've ever been camping in my life.
And this is exactly the reason why I don't. If you've seen the other movies.
Yeah.
So, now that I think about it, I think I might have seen one, so I have an idea of what you're talking about. I personally really liked this movie and the apartment because I've always lived in apartments. So,
What about you, Dave? What
Yeah.
did you think of us getting out of the woods and into an apartment setting?
I think they use the apartment setting in a very smart way, and they're able to accomplish a lot of things you get to accomplish in the cabin in the woods, like using the height of the apartment and like breaking the elevator to create that isolation and not having very many places to go, and then the use of vents.
I think I'm actually going to be the minority in this one. I think
Yeah.
I might be the minority for a bunch of the topics in this one. I think that something was lost being in the apartment. Well, first off, that apartment seemed like hardly anybody other than like 5 people were living in it.
Well, yeah, it was condemned and it was getting knocked over in a month. That's why they were moving.
I guess I missed that part. That's the reason
Yeah.
why there was hardly anybody there. I just thought it was like man, this place is empty. I guess I missed that little tidbit. I mean, at least it explains it. But
Yeah.
I was just, the fact that there were other people there, the apartment, I didn't feel as isolated as like a cabin in the woods where there was like only one road in and one road out. I kept just looking around the apartment going, I'd have been tying bed sheets together, shimmying out the window. I'd have been...
Well, I mean, you can't do that if it's that high, you're gonna...
I would have tried. I
agree.
Yeah.
I would have tried to go down maybe 2, see if I could get maybe 2 or 3 stories down, and then I said, well, I'm just going to take my chance and jump. I mean, if you see, surely it would have to be better than what's going on inside here.
Yeah.
I agree. I completely agree. I had a lot of comments like that when I was watching the movie because I watched it with my boyfriend and I was very opinionated.
Is he big into horror movies too?
Yeah, well, because of me, he says, after we met a couple of years ago, and I love horror movies. I get absolutely petrified, so I don't watch them on my own. But so we watch a lot of horror, thriller, murder, mystery. I'm not too fond of like rom-coms, I guess. So I just like, the darker stuff.
I love hearing her boyfriend and girlfriend getting their others into like the horror stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, so 10 minutes into this, I'm sure Dave knew that I was going to have a running theme of
on
the
our show is Chris hates kids.
I don't hate kids.
You hate kids.
It started off as a joke in season 1, and then it just turned into like, man, Chris has a real issue with child. Not all of them, but it's mostly in horror.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would think that the addition of kids in this now, because now we're not just dealing with adults dealing with this demonic entity or just older teenagers. We have kids ranging from like, how old? She seemed like 10 or something to teenage kids.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the kids, like just as a whole, like as characters?
All right, so the little girl, I think she did a pretty decent job acting, but I think this movie kind of went too far with the things they put her through. Like, it took me out of the movie where I started feeling bad for the actress herself. I was like, they were probably traumatizing this little girl. Like, the whole elevator scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, again, I think that now Evil Dead, the franchise has whether it be the remake or the old one, has a reputation for being very gory.
Yeah.
A lot of body parts getting dismembered, a lot of blood splurts everywhere. Personally, I think that if you're going into this, like, I'm comparing this to like the 2013 reboot.
Yeah.
Which you had people, like, you had razor blades on tongues.
Oh my god.
The 2013 one is so much, I think it was more brutal than this one to get through.
Yeah, so if you're looking for like that level of gore in this one, I don't think you're going to get it. There's plenty of blood, but if you're a fan who's thinking, oh man, there's going to be like that one, it's not necessarily that way, but you might get a little disturbed the fact that it's happening to kids.
Yeah, with this, like, I think I kind of used a little bit more of like the Evil Dead 2 slapstick in the second half to kind of balance out that uncomfort you got with seeing these things happen to the kids.
What about you there, Minnie? What did you think of the kids there?
So I actually liked the youngest kid the most. I think her name was Cassie.
Yeah.
And I think she did a better job acting than the older two kids.
I agree 100% that
little
kid was definitely the best actress of the three children.
Yeah. That being said, the kids were doing a lot of, I guess, dumb shit.
That's what
in the movie.
Kids aren't that dumb. A lot of the stuff they have them do.
Yeah.
I agree. Like, I don't know if this is a spoiler, but
we'll get into spoilers in a couple minutes.
Okay.
Put a note in that.
I'll talk about it then.
Into it.
But acting-wise, I think Alyssa Sutherland absolutely killed it in this movie. She played the mother. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She was amazing in this movie. Yeah.
I would say her and the daughter were probably the best actresses in the. There were a lot of instances where people are getting stabbed and they treat it like a paper cut.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Getting stabbed through the hand.
Yeah.
And I know that some people go into shock and everything like that, but I mean, they must be on some like very strong painkillers or just didn't know how to react to it. But
like that's a rough one to deal with, like right through your hand.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just the kids. There was, I mean, that was to one of the older.
That was to her sister. Yeah, but
That was to Beth. But sometimes the older teenagers, one gets, this isn't a spoiler. You're going to see dismemberment, right, and stabbings and stuff like this. But one of them gets a knife through the arm, and it's just more like
Oh yeah. Oh no, you inconvenienced me with this knife in my arm.
I mean, I don't know. It's
Full Monty
I'm glad that I'm
Python
not the
right
only
there.
one who noticed.
Yeah.
So, now you had mentioned the slapstickiness of Evil Dead 2. Do you think that, because this is definitely this definitely is more like on the serious side in terms of the Evil Dead franchise. Do you think that, so we've had the reboot and we've had now Evil Dead Rise. Do you think that it should go the Bruce Campbell route and start getting more slapsticky and funny, or do you think that should just be Bruce Campbell's thing?
I just think it depends on the situation. Like in this one, I felt like it needed it because of how uncomfortable it made everything. Just to give it a little bit more balance in this movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you do need that little bit of levity.
Yeah.
With horror and comedy go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, you do need. I'll get into a specific part that I thought was the funniest thing.
Yeah.
When we go into it, unless you guys want to go ahead and move slightly into spoiler talk.
Well, I don't get to. Yeah.
Those are just
on the topic of the comedy. I appreciated it because I do get scared very easily. So
yeah.
So it helped.
Okay, so now this will be the spoiler talk of this thing. You can kind of see, we have a little bit of, Dave, we have a little bit of give and take. Not the worst, well, it was a mixed bag of child acting. You had pretty flat, and then you had the really good one, which I thought was the youngest kid, which is very rare.
Yeah.
I thought that the gore was toned down a bit. Dave thinks it was appropriate, because we're dealing with kids. So we can go into a little bit more specifics. I interrupted Minnie a little bit ago. She wanted to say something specific about a certain scene.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure how spoilery it is, but
now we're in the spoiler territory. We can spoil now.
Okay, perfect. But the antics of Beth behind the door, like every time that you would see through the little peephole.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I think that those were like some of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah, she's just taking out the neighbors.
Yeah, she was just doing random stuff like behind the door, and then she was like singing to the kid, and then she was like, "Open up," and that's what I was saying. Okay, like the kids were doing stupid things because that's not your mom. Like I don't think I don't think she was that young that she didn't know that was her mom.
I was sitting back watching this thing, and that's when I wrote down in my notes, children are not this stupid. Like, survival instincts would kick in.
Yeah, exactly,
And she looked insane. Like, she didn't resemble a person at that point.
No, and she doesn't even sound like her mom half the time.
No, exactly. So, that's what I was talking about.
Now, that wasn't the child actress's fault, but she was, that was in the script.
Yeah.
But, for what she had to do, she did it well.
Yeah.
Now, that also led me up to this. Apparently these demons have the same exact weakness as the Signs aliens, that they just can't get through a wooden door. Which you have this demon who can, a super strong demon going around and possessing, kill everybody, but just can't get through that apartment door for some reason.
Yeah, that apartment door must be like steel reinforced.
Like if they guarded it properly, wouldn't be a problem. He wasn't getting through that door, and you just make sure not to split up or stupidly put on headphones and block out all the noise to not know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's little things like that, just decision, like typical horror movie
Bad decision making. Yeah.
Yeah, that always gets made fun of. That took me out of it personally.
Yeah. No, my biggest thing about this movie, which is a weird thing to say about an Evil Dead movie, I felt like in this setting we needed more character development. We needed more reasons to care about this family. If you're gonna have it be this family unit going against each other, we needed to know. We needed to know more about them. Like, why is Beth so like on the fence about being a mother?
Yeah, that kind of went nowhere.
Yeah.
And then
her baby was gonna play like a role in this thing somehow.
Yeah, didn't. Now, why did the father leave the family? Like, give us reasons to care more about this family. Which usually in Evil Dead, you really don't need that much character development because it's just a bunch of random college-age people in a cabin.
In the 2013 one, they were trying to get their friend to come down off.
Helping her.
So you're kind of endeared to those. Like, all right, we don't really know much about them, but we know that they are a bunch of friends who are trying to help detox their friend off of I forget what drug they were on, but trying to detox their friend, and that was the whole reason they were out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but also I do appreciate that they changed the way that the Deadites possess somebody. No more being raped by plants.
Yes,
I could do without that.
Yeah, do we? If we need to explain that, if she hasn't seen the original, there is that infamous scene in the original Evil Dead in which the tree basically sexually assaults I forget the actress, the character.
Yeah, and that's kind of how they become possessed. Yeah,
I think I vaguely know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
I think like my friends have referenced it. So
it's hard to do that in an apartment complex. Actually, I thought that's where they were going when they had her tied up with the in the elevator.
Yeah,
I thought that's the direction they were going.
And I appreciate that they didn't go there.
I was like, this is going to be awkward.
Right.
But that character development thing you were saying, I guess what also, you might need to fact check me on this, Dave, but how long was the original? Because this one was about 90 minutes, which is about an average for a horror movie.
I want to say the original was kind of around the same.
Around the same?
Yeah, I could double check.
Well, you're saying that. In regards to Beth and her baby, I had forgotten that this was supposed to be like one day earlier. I thought that her baby was going to be born and was going to be one of the people that we saw in the opening scene.
Okay, so the original was 85 minutes.
Oh, so it was less.
Yeah, about 5 minutes. Yeah, shorter.
Okay. But that's what I thought. I thought that it was going to be like her unborn baby was going to like be born and then grow up, and she was one of the actresses who was like possessed on the dock.
Yeah, I didn't like that. Like the opening scene, I was like, "That's really cool," but
it didn't mean anything.
Yeah, they capped it with the opening and ending that didn't mean anything to the movie.
Yeah, we get introduced.
I liked it.
Yeah. I mean,
it was cool. It's a cool scene. Yeah, it just didn't play into the story.
It doesn't take much to impress me with a movie.
Oh, it's fun. It's just weird because they make it a point to go out of the cabin in the woods setting, but they start it and they end it in a cabin in the woods type setting.
Yeah.
So I think that if you were to just like completely go away from the woods, don't even like reference it, because there are a ton of references, everything from the opening drone shot to the chainsaw at the end. I mean, the little Easter eggs are spread out there.
Yeah, franchise.
But I think it would have benefited to just completely separate themselves from the cabin in the woods setting. If that's what if most of the movie was going to be in this apartment complex, and you wanted to be like, all right, well, Evil Dead is now starting to kind of branch out. We're no longer, out in the middle of nowhere, but you kind of start it and end it there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I gotta say, Evil Dead now, I think it's an overlooked franchise, but all the movies are consistently either from good to great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's them and Scream that are like the only two franchises I can think of without a bad movie in there.
You get what you expect going into this thing. I don't know how many messages that the universe needs to send you to realize this is not a good idea.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a tomb with a flesh-bound book with teeth covered in crosses.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't care how skeptical you are. I don't care if you don't believe a word of like supernatural or whatever like that. The thing sucks up your blood and is. I mean,
but you could get why he took it though. Like his father just leaving, him being like that oldest teenage boy, feeling like he has to fill that void and thinking it might be something worth value to help his family out. You get why he initially took it.
Yeah. Well, at first when he saw the records and he was looking at them, he was looking like, oh man, I can't wait. It looked like he was more interested in me. Like, I wonder if I could remix this into a DJ thing.
Right.
And I was like, these ancient looking records would be like some old, something from like the 1930s the way it looked.
Yeah.
But just that his mom didn't deserve that. I felt so horrible for his mom just because of his dumb decisions.
They were, though. The kids were, they were a bit of a problem.
But I will say that this gave us something that the other ones didn't. I really enjoyed them morphing into one entity at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. But I think when Bridget first became her Deadeye, gave me like the cringiest scene ever. I don't know why, but the sound of like someone chewing glass just kind of like shakes me to my core. I'm like, oh no, I don't like that one.
Is it in the elevator when she's like hanging?
No, the teenage girl when she's just sitting on the counter eating a wine glass. Yeah.
Oh, right. Of course. Yeah. No,
you see it like
that
was pretty.
Yeah. And it's like pointing out. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Painful.
Yeah. Well, cinematically, this is the best Evil Dead looking movie.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was shot really well.
I enjoyed that.
It was shot well. I mean, it did have, like I said, I think that Fish Island shot from the people was a very nice shot.
Yeah.
Now, I think I said I was going to mention. Let's delve into some of the more comedic bits. For some reason, the thing that stuck out to me, the funniest thing, was just this random wood chipper in the middle of a.
Right, that was what I was like. Why is there a wood chipper in a parking garage? Like that made no sense. And a random chainsaw.
And well, we know why the chainsaw was there, but
it's Evil Dead, but
because it's Evil Dead. But I think my favorite part of the whole thing, she for that trailer shot, she jumps up, says, "Come get some," and then then she just throws a. And then just throws a chainsaw at her. I just thought that because she was supposed to be this badass, like this is my hero moment, and then
she gets a chainsaw
thrown at her.
Yeah.
Stuff like that I thought was funny.
Yeah, I enjoyed the eyeball scene. Paid homage to Evil Dead 2.
Mm-hmm. Throwing the eyeball into the other guy's throat.
Yeah, like biting out some guy's eyeball. I think that was something that I really haven't seen before. And then she spits into the other guy's mouth and he chokes on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it now, I mean, it does that. I mean, you do have a scene where, like, this big thing gets chucked into a wood chipper and in the head. I mean, thinking back on it now, I guess the gore is there.
Yeah, it's raining blood. I forgot which Evil Dead it's in, but that's happened before where it's just raining blood.
Well, 2013 one, the remake had that.
Yeah, so it kind of paid homage to that one as well with that scene when it was raining blood on him.
And
I definitely have to. I definitely have to watch the other ones, but I feel like this movie, I think it did what it was supposed to, and I feel like that was roping people like me, who are kind of newer to the series, and it's not too gory because I don't like too much gore either, because it makes me really uncomfortable. Even the amount of gore in this movie was a lot, but I knew that it was gonna be gory, so it was okay. But I do think that they were looking for a newer audience. So
Yeah, because this movie it does work as a standalone movie in itself. So
Well, that's the
Yeah.
cool thing about the Evil
Yeah.
Dead franchise. I mean, you can definitely tell that they're trying to. I mean, as a movie where it looks like they're trying to branch out to places other than just a cabin in the woods.
yeah,
I think that works. I think we'll start seeing more Evil Dead movies set in other locations other than like in the middle of the woods.
I think because they all take place in the same world. Because the director said in an interview, there's supposed to be like the books. There's supposed to be like three of them out. There's supposed to be like three different ones in the world.
So we have. So I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Was that established in the movie, or is that just something the director said?
that was something that was just said by the director because otherwise it would seem like it takes place in a completely different universe. Because technically Ash has one of them, so it wouldn't be in the bank vault in LA. Yeah,
I didn't know that he said that, so that's why I was thinking it was like a different universe. Because I was like, well, isn't that supposed to be like out in the woods somewhere? Like, why is there why is this book like in the middle of this apartment complex? So if there's supposed to be more than one, then that makes more sense.
Yeah.
All right. So, I think one last thing I wanted to say. I thought it was funny just because it would never happen like this. That elevator crash. Fairly certain that's not how that would have gone down. That worked out very, very well.
Yeah.
Fairly certain that they had been a done deal. But hey, movies. So,
suspense of disbelief, yeah.
If I'm already believing what's happening all the way up to now, then
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what?
I thought it was entertaining, the elevator. Yeah, I was
also sorry.
No, I was hooked.
I was wondering if that was supposed to be a Shining reference, the elevator of blood.
I thought of that. I thought of that. It did remind me of The Shining. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's definitely why it was in there. Just kind of like.
That's why we need to have these. What we didn't do at the very beginning? We usually do a one sentence like summation of like what is this movie about? It's Evil Dead.
It's Evil Dead. You know what it's about.
It's a cabin in the woods movie in an apartment complex.
Yeah.
So that's there you go. There's your one sentence sum up.
Yeah.
When we go into like kill of the movie, which there's a couple of entertaining deaths in this one.
Yeah.
Which I'll even include like the individual deaths of like the characters who, I mean, they all come back alive and get possessed, but we'll count them as deaths. Did you have one, Dave?
I'm definitely gonna go with the guy who gets his eyeball bitten off.
And his throat slit.
Yeah. That's a rough way to go.
Samaritan.
Right. Just trying to help people out.
What about you, Minnie? Did you have was there a particular either death or scene that you thought was a standout?
I think it's the fisheye lens scene through the people. I really like the color in those scenes. They were like very blue.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was just visually so appealing, and I think that's kind of what made the movie for me. So I think that scene.
It was definitely one of my favorite shots because you can get a lot with what you don't show as well, because you see her walking from one end to the other. You hear screaming, but you don't see what happens.
Exactly.
I like shots like that where
Same.
And they kill the kid, like, right? I mean, this movie wasn't afraid to kill kids.
Yeah.
Or maybe the teenagers were fair game because they're not kids.
Once you hit the teens, you're fair.
You're good.
You're fair game to these demonic entities.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to see little Cass. Was it?
Yeah, Cass. Yeah, I'm glad she made it. Yeah.
I don't care if she is gonna grow up to be a psycho, room cutting dolls' heads off and sticking them on things. I mean, let's be real. That kid's gonna grow up to be a serial killer anyway.
Yeah.
Very likely.
I still don't want to see her get hurt.
Yeah.
I'd say for me, that one's a close one, but I don't know why. Just like, I'll say what I liked, which I thought was pretty original, which I wish we got more of, was those bodies morphing into one thing.
Yeah.
I like that as a creature idea. I kind of wish that, they keep it mostly in the shadows. I wish that we saw it a little bit more.
Same. I said
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I even said that out loud. I want to see the creature. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the idea of it, I thought was nice. It would have been perfect if they showed it a little bit more, or maybe even shown them morphing into the creature. But
Yeah.
the idea I thought was a cool one and original for the series,
Oh yeah.
for the franchise. Hey Dave, why don't you go ahead and explain this our rating thing? Let's go ahead and rate this sucker.
Okay, so when we rate movies, we
Mhm.
like to stand out a little bit, so we rate them out of 30. And
Okay.
each like 10 points is for something different. Like we rate the
Technical.
story 1 out of 10, like the technical and cinematography 1 out of 10, and then enjoyment 1 out of 10. Add it all up to get 30.
Okay.
So for
Yeah.
example, on a scale of 1 to 10, let's talk about the technical, like the cinematography. How did it look? What would you guys rate that out of 10?
I'd give it an 8. I think it had a lot of really good shots in it. Definitely a lot more than you would expect out of like Evil Dead franchise. So
Mm-hmm. So you'd say an 8 out of 10 on the technical cinematography, how it looks.
yeah.
How about you, Vinny Gay?
So since that was my favorite part of the movie, the visual aspect, I would give it a 9.5 out of 10.
9.5?
Yeah.
I guess I'll be the jerk.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't shot poorly.
Yeah.
I don't want to give off that impression. It
We've
wasn't
seen
shot-
some poorly shot movies.
We've seen some very poorly shot movies. The House of the Dead.
Yeah.
And I can't say that this was bad, but to me, other than one or two things, there wasn't. I'm gonna say a 7. I'll give it a 7.
Okay.
Not too harsh.
That's fair.
I think
Yeah.
that there could have. I saw remnants of things that I wish they did more of.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wish they didn't keep the creature in the dark. And a lot of others. I did like the fisheye lens through the peephole. I wish we had a lot more fancy stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's a personal preference.
Yeah.
Next is the storyline. The story of this Evil Dead, which, putting it into context, it's the movie you expect it to be.
Yeah.
It's not trying to be anything other than what it is.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, like I said, I wish I would have got a little bit more sensor switching it to this, like, family dynamic. I wish I would have got a little bit more character development.
Mm-hmm.
So for story, I would probably give it a 6.
Okay. What about you?
Story, yeah, I would give it a 6.5 because I thought the plot was lacking for sure. So yeah, 6.5.
And like I said, like for what it is and for what it is trying to be, which is just the story is not hard to follow. But I mean, none of the Evil Dead movies are a hard thing to follow. I'll also give it a 7. In all honesty, easy to follow.
Okay.
You kind of get what you pay for. You know,
Yeah.
it's not hard to keep along.
Yeah.
And now
So-
overall enjoyment.
I found it very enjoyable. It's not boring at all. It's kind of like the pacing is really well. So for enjoyment, I'd probably give it an 8.5.
Minnie?
I would also give it an 8.5. I enjoyed that movie a lot. It was very, very enjoyable.
Now for me, it'd have to be a little bit less. I think 2 out of the 3 children actors were very wooden.
Yeah.
And they set up a lot of things that I knew was going, like, they made it a point to like show the kid throwing scissors under the bed.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I wonder if those scissors are going to come into play later. They certainly stuck on it for a little bit. And just these kids aren't the first ones to be making dumb decisions like this, but I would hope that by 2023, we would have had a little bit stronger kid characters that wouldn't be making these kind of decisions. I'm going to rate it a 6 for my overall enjoyment.
Okay.
Not the worst, but I kind of expected a little bit more.
Right.
All right.
Because you've seen like the movies before, so I guess it's understandable to have expectation.
This is the first one to have like kids in it.
Yeah.
And it's just, I try to, we joke about, Chris hates kids and everything,
Yeah.
but we've had plenty of episodes where I give kids slack and be like, well, it's not their fault. But then again, once you hit teenage, like, acting and stuff like that, it's weird that the youngest of the kids was a better actress than her older co-actors.
Yeah.
So, that's why it's a little hard, because it's like 1 out of 3, but 6, I'm comfortable with a 6 in terms of enjoyment.
All right. So, Chris, you gave it a 20 out of 30.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it a 22.5 out of 30. And Minnie, you gave it a 23.5 out of 30. So,
average all that?
I can do that real quick.
So
but overall, a pretty good movie.
Yes. Overall, I think it would be somewhere in the realm of a 66 to 70% if we're rating it as a collective.
The average is 22 out of 30, so.
That's about like a, 66 or 67? Something like that.
If we did a 100-point scale, it'd probably be in the 70s.
Yeah. Upper 60s, low 70s.
70s, yeah.
But not a bad movie. It was, I'm not upset I watched it. It's certainly, we just did a whole season of awful movies.
Yeah.
So this was definitely way better than any of the ones that we watched during that season.
Yeah. It definitely has some rewatchability. I could definitely see myself going back and watching this movie again. So. And
I think on the old tomato meter, it rests at about an 83. So, we're about like maybe
we're around there,
10 to 12 points lower than what it's on the tomato meter. But that's what our opinions are, whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I mean, the audience scores 76, so we're close to that.
So I guess we are close to kind of what the audience would have given it.
Yeah.
Everybody's also going to try to see it through the eyes of the original as well.
Yeah.
Which even the movie makers kind of did with all of the all of the little Easter eggs and whatnot.
Yeah. I wonder how many people must have seen it just as a standalone like me.
Well, I tried going into it as a standalone just because it's a different setting, different characters. It's not connected to Ash in any way, in terms of they don't, other than the little Easter egg. So I tried going into it without seeing any of the reviews, so I didn't even know what people were saying about it.
Yeah. But it works as a standalone, and I think it's going to bring a lot of new fans to the franchise, which is what it's meant for.
Yeah.
I have a feeling they're probably going to make more, so.
I hope that I think they were just dipping their toe in the water to see, all right, well, A, do people still like the Evil Dead franchise? Yeah. And B, how are they going to take to us getting out of the woods?
Yeah. So. And another fun fact about this movie is it was originally made to be an HBO Max release. Mm. But after the audience tests rated it so high, they decided to give it a theatrical release.
Oh, I didn't know that. Cool.
Yeah.
And I will say I am not opposed to having more kids in the franchise, so long as would give us more of the cast actress. Kind of acting.
That could do their job.
Which is very rare, I will say. Very rare that I would say, you know what, I would like to see more of the younger kid rather than the teenagers.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So hopefully they'll take this as an opportunity to do something more different if they were to make a sequel.
Yeah, hopefully they don't do release Evil Dead in 2013 and then just didn't release a sequel that they had planned.
Or they had a sequel planned for that one.
Yeah, with how well it got received, there should have been one planned at least.
Yeah, well, I mean, then again, that was what 9 years ago. So maybe they're trying to make up for that and just test the waters, like I said, and see. Well, has its popularity faded?
Yeah.
But, obviously not.
Yeah.
The Evil Dead franchise is a die-hard group of people who like it.
Yeah. It's like all this came from one movie that had a budget of like $35,000.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the very first one, I think it was like 35,000 was the budget.
Oh,
Yeah,
very
it
cool.
was.
Sam Raimi did a great job with it.
I think. There was a story I heard.
No, I was wrong. I read the budget wrong. It was actually 375,000, but still, still not a lot.
I think I heard a story where I think it was Tom Savini was approached by like Sam Raimi when he was like a young kid, and he was like, "Hey, we got this project that we're working on." And it was like one of the scenes of the the claymation decomposing thing, and Tom Savini was like, "Oh, this looks awesome." And it was just like the beginnings of what would eventually become the first Evil Dead movie. I think it was Tom Savini.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But, I mean, Lee Cronin, now at the wheel of the franchise, I think he did a really good job. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen the other movie he directed, Hole in the Ground. He's only directed 2 movies so far.
I can see him keeping going with this.
Yeah. He did a really good job with this one, so... Especially it only being his second movie in a director chair, so...
Well, I have to thank Minnie for suggesting this movie, because I think we don't usually do like new movies or movies that are out in theaters. We usually, well, I think the last time it was Halloween Kills, but I think that was our last one that was like a recent movie at the time. So.
Oh, I'm glad. My next suggestion, I was like, I don't know if I should talk about that one or this one, but I picked it because it was new, was going to be Saw, because that's...
Well, then you'll have to come back on the show we can talk
That's
about
Chris's favorite movie,
there's some of mine too. Yeah, there's some of my favorites as well.
All right, so now you have to come back on.
Yeah.
Talk about
oh my goodness, yeah.
Right, Dave, you can sit in the corner, and me and her will just sit there and talk about
Saw. Yeah.
Saw.
I could talk about those for hours.
Like, what about Amanda? How she killed off Adam? How messed up was that?
I know.
Yeah.
Total spoiler, but oh my.
The first 3 were great, and then after that, no.
Well, we're going to we're going to put a pin in that, and we're going to try to get you back on at some point again.
Oh, thank you guys. This is so sweet. No, it was great, and you guys are so knowledgeable about movies. Like, I have friends like that, who are like, they want to be directors or filmmakers or whatever. And I'm just like, I watch movies more for entertainment value. So sometimes I end up offending people, telling them the kinds of movies that I like and the movies that I haven't seen. And they're like, "You've not seen Pulp Fiction?" And I'm like,
people are going to hate me for this one, and it's going to be my homework at some point. I haven't seen The Exorcist.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, wait, I've seen that one. Okay, yeah.
People like, we all have those movies where it's like, how have you not seen that? I'm like, look, I watch a lot of horror movies. I can't watch them all.
Yeah. I've never seen Godfather Part 2 or 3, so.
Yeah, I mean, we all have our little guilty, like, I can't believe I've never seen. People were like that when I said I never saw The Princess Bride. I have since seen The Princess Bride, but at the time when I hadn't, everyone treated me like I had committed some crime against humanity for never seeing The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Well, now that we've, finished talking about all this blood and guts, go out and make some more sunshine TikTok videos. enjoy the sunshine of the day. Get rid of all this bleak death talk.
Yeah. No, it was fun though. These are the kinds of movies I like to watch. So just
So, what? Handle it. Watch the 2013 reboot.
I will. I think that this weekend is probably going to be an Evil Dead 1 movie.
Yeah. That one's a little bit more on the gore side, just warning.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah.
The Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, the second and third ones, those are very like slapstick comedy type horror movies.
It was like a complete deviation. Well, not complete, but a deviation from the first one, which was strictly horror.
Yeah.
They were going more of a comedic route.
Yeah, Army of Darkness is an insane movie in itself, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
I look forward to watching these movies. Do you guys have like an Instagram or something that
Yes,
I could?
Yeah.
this is a good time. But first, before us, they're listening. They probably know ours. Where can people find you?
Where can people find me? So I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all under It's Mini K. Should I spell that out?
Sure. Yeah. Just so
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's ITSMINIKAY. It's Mini.
Yeah, definitely go follow her on TikTok. Her TikToks are great, so.
Yeah, you want to get put in a good
Yeah.
mood and learn a little
Yeah.
bit about France and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's a good. Oh, I was going to ask you real quick. You had mentioned in one of the videos learning French from a Duolingo podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that was called?
Let me just look. I have it on my Spotify. I think it's just Duolingo French podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just called Duolingo French podcast, and they have Duolingo Spanish podcast. So.
Okay, I might give that a check out because I've always wanted to learn French.
Oh, they're lovely. The stories are really, I was not expecting such nice stories on their podcast. Yeah.
Well, guys, you know where to follow her, and as always, you can find us at Body Bags Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, Apple, Spotify, what have you.
Yeah. TikTok, I think Instagram's the only one that's Body Bag Pod, and the rest are Body Bag Podcast.
That's why I have you here, Dave, to correct me when I'm 100% wrong.
I found you guys. So
Yeah.
when I watch The Evil Dead, I'm gonna DM you guys a little review.
Thank you. Very
Yeah.
sweet. But in the meantime, this has been Body Bag Podcast. I've been Chris Thomas. With me is Broke Writer Dave, as always, and thank you for coming on, Mini K.
Oh, thank you.
Have a good week, everybody.
Bye, guys. It was
Bye.
so nice talking to you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. You have a good rest of the day.
You too.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening to Body Bag Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment as to what you'd like to hear us review, or any horror movie topics you'd like to hear us rant and rave about.
And while you're at it, you can find us on Twitter at Bodybag Pod and on Instagram at Bodybag Podcast.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time.